Today we are talking about staying warm when you lose power and how to survive. I'm here with my mom, Jill. Hello, Mom.
Hello, daughter. Long time no talk to. We've been talking all morning.
We are testing out doing a video with a new system. So this is going to be our first video. I hope it goes well. All right, today we're talking about is Texas weather, young family just trying to keep warm. Right there. Can you guys see that? So I saw this article and Mom and I had a few things that we want to say about this. Oh dear. Okay. So I'm going to read you portions of this and Mom and I are going to talk about staying warm when you lose your power, okay? In San Antonio, Kristen lost her power. I'm kind of, what do you call it? Oh shoot, my brain's not working. I'm summarizing some of these things, okay? Her building lost access to water on Saturday and electricity on Sunday, forcing her and her husband and 11-month-old daughter out of their cold flat. The power grid got overwhelmed. Everybody lost power. Her family was able to drive to her parents' house nearby. They also don't have power, but they have water, she says. They've huddled around the fireplace and made grilled cheese sandwiches on DIY stoves, but she worries about her baby. She's getting bored, of course, and we're just trying to keep her warm. I had to go to someone's house and boil some water so that she can have a warm bottle. Okay, now we're just going to talk about these first couple of things here. All right, first of all, they have a place that they can go. So they make it sound like these people are freezing to death, but they're staying at their parents' house with a fireplace. That's not really suffering too much. So one of the things that Mom and I were talking about is it's your attitude. All right, Mom, talk to me about attitude.
Are you ready for this? Oh, no. I didn't have a chance to warn you that it's going to be more than 10 minutes. And, well, I'll just get started. Okay. You know, I've watched prepping shows. I'm not big into them, but I have watched a few. My hair is a mess today, isn't it? But anyway, so I was watching these prepping shows, and they don't talk about this hardly at all, that I think the people that succeed and survive are the ones that have the proper attitude or things emotionally under control. And let me tell you what I mean by that. I'm going to tell you a couple of stories. I hope that's okay with Tara if I tell a couple of stories. But the way we react, okay, let's say you're fighting with a spouse. You're in a heated fight. You're angry, you're saying things, and you tell your spouse this and this and this and this. Well, then the next day he says something and you said, well, I told you yesterday not to do this, and now you're doing it again today. And he said, I didn't hear you say that. What happens when you're angry, when you're fearful, when you're any kind of emotional stress, that part of your brain, the logical part, the common sense part cannot function. The part of brain that functions is where the emotions are. And this is proven clinically. You cannot hear what somebody says in a heated argument. You hear it with your ears, but you don't register it in your brain. So if you're letting your emotions totally control you, then you can't use common sense. You can't use logic to try to figure out, what do I do for my family? And I've got a couple of stories that I want to tell you that I think will explain this better. I grew up I love suspense movies. I love action movies where there's the hero comes in, they're in a crisis, and the hero comes in, and he saves the day. I don't even know if they have movies like that anymore, but he comes in and they've landed on this deserted island. They've crashed there and everybody's just, traumatized, and all this is happening. You've got 4 different types of groups in all these movies, and in any crisis, usually just on a regular basis. You've got the one where you have the blustering businessman. Why did you allow this to happen? What are you going to do to fix this? Why don't you get us off this island? And the other gal's screaming, this is your fault. You did this, fix it right now. What am I going to do? I can't handle it. Screaming, yelling, all this high, loud emotion. Then the second group are those that are whipping. What are you laughing at?
Mike. Sorry.
He's making fun of me behind the camera, whimpering in the corner, sobbing and crying and just curled up in a fetal position, so scared and so frightened and doesn't know what to do. Now, these are the two ways you should not react, but that's the way we're seeing more and more people reacting. They can't do anything. They're so emotionally, geared up, they can't even think. But then the other two groups, you have the hero. I mean, this guy walks in and he says, calm down, everybody. I know exactly what we need to do. I've got this and this and this and this figured out, and this is what we have to do to fix the situation and to get off the island. The second group, or the fourth group, I guess you'd say, but the second hero group is the person that walks up to the hero and he says, what do you want me to do to help you to make this happen? Quietly. He always comes up quietly. He or she is quietly saying, what can I do to help you? I would rather be in those second two groups. You're going to only survive if you're in those second two groups because they're scared too. But they've got their emotions under control. They've got the right attitude. It's like, we need to do something to fix that. So which group are you going to fall into, And I usually hate to say this to people because I like to encourage people and say, no matter what happens, you're going to make it. But if you're in that first two group, you're not going to make it, whether it's just in life, period, let alone a crisis. And I think what's happening now, everybody is reacting emotionally to everything, to illnesses, to the politics, to the weather. It's just like high gear emotional reaction. People that I admire, I saw the other day, a police officer, he pulled a lady over for speeding and she was ripping into him. Horrible. Bad mouthing this police officer. And he very calmly just stood there while she was having her emotional tirade. That man, I have to respect him. He's laying his life on the line for us every day. And he calmly sits and listens to this woman carry on and on. Which is the more successful person? Which would I rather have in my corner? That woman that's ranting and raving, or the police officer who's staying calm and cool? Now, I love too the heroes that are the quiet heroes. They're my favorite. You see us, one example, this is another example more closer to home, and it involves you guys. You see Mike and Tara and I up on the video all the time. We're up front giving tips and ideas, and everybody, likes our tips, or they say they do. They like the tips and ideas, and we're in the front part, like we're leading things kind of. But you know what? We wouldn't be able to do this if we didn't have our quiet heroes behind the scenes praying for us all the time. They pray for us, for you guys, encouraging us. You give words of encouragement, it's just unbelievable. Even saying that you like the tips encourages so much, and things like that. We couldn't do this without you. There is no way. We are under attack constantly under attack, one way or another. Sickness, things happening. If it wasn't for your prayers, we would not be able to do it. You're the quiet heroes. You're going to be the success. You're the ones that are going to make it through these times. And a couple more illustrations. I just want to give.
Mom, can I say something just a second?
Okay. Mm-hmm. I'll let you say one or two things, Tara.
Okay. So because they really do not understand the stress that I'm under with Mike and Mom alone. Just kidding. Okay, well, not really, but just kidding. Okay. All right, go ahead, Mom.
That's good. Well, just a couple other quick stories. I've used this example before in the Bible. Moses in the Bible, the Israelites were supposed to be attacking the city. And God told Moses, you hold your arms up in the air, and as long as your arms are in the air, then you're going to have victory. The Israelites that were fighting would have victory. So he's standing there for hours and hours, holding those arms up in the air. He looks like a hero. He's the main leader. He's doing this, but he starts to weaken. And alongside him comes two other people. One of them was his brother Aaron, but they come alongside of him, and these quiet heroes step up to him and they lift up his arms and hold them for him when he can't do it anymore. That's the type of thing of the quiet heroes that I am so impressed with all the time, that do so great. And then another example was, and this goes with the ice storms and things that we've been having. A few years back, we had really bad ice. We lost lots of power in Wichita. And it was like 2, 3 in the morning. The guys from the electric company were up on the poles. I mean, it was -0 wind chills and just bitter cold, and they were up working, and they'd been up there for about an hour and a half working, trying to get the power back on for my son's neighborhood. So my son walked out to them and he said, "We have hot cocoa, some hot chocolate in the house. Why don't you come in and drink some cocoa and get warmed up in the house for just a few minutes?" And they did. They came in and got warm. Now, both of those groups were heroes. The electricians for being out in the bitter cold, trying to hurry and get the stuff on for these families so they could have heat and everything. And my son for stepping up and lifting up their arms, basically, by having them come in to warm up and have cocoa. Can you see the difference of what I'm talking about, of having the right attitude in these situations? Life is just constant struggle. I mean, I shouldn't say constant. That sounds negative, because we do have good times. But it's just, you have things you have to deal with every day. And until you start learning to get the right attitude and having your emotions under control, it's going to be miserable. You're going to be a miserable person. And you need to just think, okay, this is not good, but what can I do to fix it? How do I fix it? And so I'll let you talk now, Tara.
No, it's fine. People love you. People love you.
You have
a napkin right there, Mom?
Yeah, why?
Take and wipe your camera. Mike's going to take you off for a minute while I read this. And wipe your camera. A little thing. Okay. It's the mic too. Okay, very good. All right. Now, let's go in. Now that we've talked about the attitude, let's go in on this story and talk about what these people could be doing for all of it. Okay, so back to the thing. They don't have power, but her parents had water and a fireplace to cook, and they were making grilled cheese sandwich. She said, but of course they had to go to the neighbor's house to warm a bottle. All right, guys, if you're cooking grilled cheese sandwiches, you should be able to warm a baby's bottle in the same whatever you're using to cook. Just put a pan of water with some, put your pan of water with your baby bottle in there and warm it. But if you can't do that, guys, the old-fashioned way to warm bottles is stick it in your armpit or stick it in between your legs and just let it, your body heat, put it inside your shirt or in the, what do you call it, the band of your pants, and let it warm up against your body.
Leave it sitting out at room temperature. Milk will not spoil for, a day or even a few hours sitting out at room temperature. Then you get at room temperature and then do like what Tara said. But if
they can't get at room temperature because it's freezing out as well.
Yeah.
So, all right. So then in this article, it goes on to say, she's a medical specialist who's been working from home but can barely get any cell service to do her job. Her husband works as a landscaper at a local golf course, and his employers have already said he likely will not be able to get back to work soon. That means the couple may not earn any income all week. When the storm hit, they had not even gone grocery shopping. What we have is all obviously trash now. The fridge is warmer than it is outside. Okay. A few things here. Okay, so they're going to be out of work for a week. This is why, now this is a younger couple, so I get it. I've been a younger couple, but they're both working. So they've got to be bringing in at least $50,000 a year. And living in Texas, the cost of living is usually fairly expensive. I've lived there, I know. And so why don't they have at least a month's worth of income saved up to cover that. Okay. Maybe they do. And maybe this story is just making it more dramatic than it actually needs to be. But this is why we keep telling you guys, get your debt paid off and get a savings so that when emergencies happen, you don't have to worry about it. Now, the next thing, they talk about how they hadn't been grocery shopping, but then all the food that they do have is trash in the fridge. Why don't you take that food out, put it in boxes, put it in coolers, and set it outside? Mike and I, at one point, we didn't even have a refrigerator when we lived in Idaho, and all our food was stored outside in a cooler. So don't waste all that food. If it's colder outside than it is in your freezer, open the freezer door and your stuff will stay frozen. Now, if you lose power and it's just a couple of days, keep your freezer and your fridge shut as much as possible, and the majority of the food will be fine, especially if your freezer is filled. Those frozen foods, if you keep your freezer closed, will take a long time to defrost. I mean, we're talking 5 or 6 days. And so we have lost power time and time again, and I have never lost, have I? Maybe one time, but I don't think I've ever completely lost a full freezer worth of food. And third, is this third? I don't know. But third, okay, so what if you lose $150 worth of food in the freezer? And fridge. That's not that big of a deal in the big scheme of things. You have got to, along with what Mom was talking about with the attitude, you have got to keep things in proportion. You're alive. You have heat. You have food. You have water. You are doing okay.
Yeah, and if like your freezer, my freezer doesn't stay full. So what I do is I keep water jugs in there frozen, because not only do they help things keep frozen like that, but if I need to, I can take those frozen water jugs, one of them, and put in a cooler with the other ones, even if it's warmer weather. You know, in the cold weather like this, you don't have to do that, but you can use it for things like that. And learn your food. Learn what can keep longest. You know, eggs can stay quite a while before they go bad. And cheese, we have cheese sitting out. You can set cheese out for hours and hours, and it does fine. So eat the foods that you that will go bad first.
Well, so this is what I'm wondering. Why didn't they take the food over to her parents' house and use it?
Oh, is that the same people that were?
Yeah.
I thought it was a different couple.
No, it was the same people. So why didn't they?
Now, when Tara and us, we were in the ice storm, and they had to go to her brother's house. They took their food there, and they were cooking stuff up right away, trying to get stuff cooked up out of that was going to spoil. And they were cooking all that stuff up immediately. Now, they had some power, see it at her brother's house, but Tara took her food from her house to use that first, because they only had so much room that they could store it. But, you know, there's lots of things. Think of things you can do ahead of time. Sit there and think, what if this would happen? What could I do? But even,
people need to realize, guys, the media exaggerates this stuff. These people, the media, the title is Young Family Just Trying to Stay Warm. They had a fireplace.
I know.
They were warm.
And
it's like, not a problem.
I missed who said this, but somebody said a baby doesn't necessarily have to drink warm bottle. You don't,
exactly. You know, you're worried about a baby getting bored? So my point for this is for the rest of the people, stop acting like these are hard times. This really is not that bad of a thing. And I know I'm going to get hate mail saying, oh, you don't know. There are people who are elderly and disabled that are truly in need, truly in need. And yet we're hearing about these people whining about how they're just trying to stay warm when they have a house, they have food, they have water, they have fireplace to keep them warm. That's not an emergency. And so you as the consumer or whatever of news, you need to realize the news is lying to you. And a lot of times your situation isn't near as bad as what the news is telling you that it is. You know?
But even at that, the news and everybody else is so dramatic about it all. You got to get the drama out. You got to get those emotions out. Don't concentrate on that part. Another thing, I think a lot of times, Tara and I were talking about this earlier, I think people go on this social media to get sympathy. I hate to say that, but people love to get sympathy. Oh, I just feel so ugly today. Oh, you poor thing. No, you're beautiful, blah, blah, blah. Or I just don't know what I'm going to do. My poor baby, It's all about trying to get sympathy. Sympathy is the last thing people need in situations like this. They need practical help. You've got to just stay calm. You've got to figure out what to do with you've got a baby. You can't have time to be going on social media being dramatic about what's happening to you. You need to be figuring out what to do for your whole situation. I don't even know how people had time to go on and do all this stuff, go on Facebook, go on all these places and take time on their phone and their computer to type all this stuff in. I am so busy whenever I am without power and without water and stuff, trying to deal with things, cope with things, and get things straightened up. I don't have time most of the time just to sit and type on stuff. Maybe you do have a little more time, but if it's really that bad, you won't have time to be dinking around on your computer and phone is basically what I'm trying to say, Yeah. And a lot of it is just going on to, for the drama of it. Like you said, there was how many adults in this group?
Yeah.
All taking care of things.
Adults.
Yeah. Doing stuff. I have a chronic illness on top of that, and I'm elderly. My children keep telling me I'm elderly, so I'm going to go with it on this one. But when I lost my water, I had to drag from the furthest corner in my basement all the way up the basement stairs. I just made trip after trip after trip, dragging water up from the basement. It was a job. I was exhausted by the time I got my water up, to use in the toilet and to use upstairs for different things. And so it was a lot of work. And I was by myself. They've got probably at least 4 adults in this house sharing, all the work and the labor. So things could be worse is what I'm saying. Things
could
be worse.
I feel really bad. I have dealt with flooding from frozen pipes. I totally understand. But really, you still have water, and it's going to be a huge mess to clean up, and it's going to be a huge pain. And if you don't have flood insurance, it's going to cost you a lot of money. And I understand that, but you're not dying. I think that's where we have gotten to the point we are so cushy that uncomfortable is dying for people now. People honestly think that they're dying because they're uncomfortable now. And it's not fun, but you certainly will be able to live through it. I mean, don't do something stupid like try to go get warmed up in your garage with the garage door closed and the car turned on.
Yeah.
Or
that's where the common sense, and we've got a lot of people making some really good comments here. Like Valerie said, melt snow. You can melt snow to flush the toilet, things like. We've got a lot of good tips. I'm not mentioning all of them here, but there's really good ones on here. And learn this stuff ahead of time.
Well, that's why we keep pushing the prepping. Because you never know what is going to hit. Yeah. And you need to be prepared. And it's a lot more than just having 10 years worth of food stored on hand. That's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
But there's no reason why you can't have 1 to 3 months worth of food on hand in case something happens. If a hurricane comes and wipes that entire area out and trucks can't get to your neighborhood, but your neighborhood's fine, you're going to need food. So
do you want to give a couple of tips of what to do? Like, a lot of times people don't realize how to dress.
Yeah.
For example, you might have a short sleeve t-shirt on, you think, "Brr, it's cold," and you go put your jacket on and think that's going to keep you warm. You have to do layers. You don't just do that. You have to put like a long sleeve t-shirt, then maybe a flannel shirt over that, and then maybe a sweater on top of that, and then maybe a jacket on top of that. These are all practical things you need to learn to keep warm. And even if you live in, say, New Mexico or Arizona or Texas or any place down south, you say, "Well, we don't have these things happen very often." You need to be prepared for anything. Even if you're down there, you don't know that a flood's going to come and you're going to have to evacuate quickly, and all the roads you normally take are closed or something, and you have to drive through mountain area, So you need to have these winter things, just a shelf of winter things. These are just practical things you can do so that it helps a little bit while you're trying. Even like with the food, we talk about having enough food on hand. My big thing is have food that you don't have to cook, food that does not need to be cooked for at least 1 week, so that you can have a week of not worrying about cooking food, and you can spend your time dealing with the rest of the situation. Have peanut butter with some bread. That won't spoil. And if you have to eat that for 2 meals every day for a week, you will not die from anything. Have just simple stuff. Cereal. You can eat just dry cereal. You don't need milk on it. These are all things you don't have to cook. Keep boxes of crackers that you can put peanut butter on. Just little things. Keep this stuff on a regular supply. It doesn't even have to be long term. Just keep them in your house. Then that week, while you're trying to figure out how to get the water to flush the toilets and how to get a stove going, you've got something you can quick and easy without thinking a lot of work fix, So think of different stages that you need to do this stuff in and do we teach that. Tara's
video. After this, I'm almost done editing it. I just shot a whole video on how to prepare and do all those things for people who are without electricity. I actually was going to do this video like 2 months ago, and I just never got around to it, and I probably should have done it. But it's coming out afterwards with all the tips on how to practically do it. But guys, really things are not as bad as the news makes them out to be. And you need to have confidence in yourself that you're going to be able to take care of yourself. It is not the government's responsibility to take care of you when the power is out. It's not the government's responsibility to take care of you when a tornado hits or hurricane or flood or earthquake. It's helpful, but it's not their responsibility. It's yours to be ready for when you need to, so that then the government can help people who truly need help, like the elderly and disabled who truly don't have anybody or can't get any help or anything like that.
And you need to think of this as a good test. I saw that too. It's like, but this is like a test. And every test you go through and that you pass, that much more, and you're that much stronger, and you have more confidence. Tara and I are not near as frightened about losing our water. We're not near frightened of losing our power and our electricity. Why? Because we have been tested and we have learned what to do in the test, and now we know what to do, and it's not as frightening. And if you take these things as a test and just do it that way, instead of a horrible thing that somebody didn't do right towards you and they didn't help, didn't do this and didn't do that, and it's awful, but instead look at it, okay, what can I do? Learn how to do this stuff. You'll come out more confident, smarter, more common sense, and you'll learn something from it. Don't be so frightened of these things that aren't, as bad as what we seem to think. So not that these things aren't bad and scary. I don't want to minimize that. It is, especially if it's the first time happening to you. But just calm down and think about what you need to do and do that. So.
All right, please check us out at livingonadime.com. We have our Dining on a Dime cookbook, 25% off. Mom and I wrote it 20 years ago, and it's a bestseller. So go check that out to help you save money and get by. There's lots of tips in there on how to get by when you can't get to the grocery store and things you can make at home. All right, livingonadime.com.
Bye-bye, guys.
Oops, hold on. Say it again, Mom.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.